Sure. Our individual player takes, our favorite players, that matters in basketball and in fantasy football. But you know how to double down on those takes that you have? Stacking up an offense, stacking a quarterback with his receiver, stacking up an entire offense. If you drafted the entire Tampa Bay Bucks offense last year, you were in pretty good shape. And there are a handful of teams that I can't stop stacking in Best Ball Mania on Underdog. We're going to put that to the test in a couple of drafts and see if I can continue to get those stacks here today on Spike Week. Let's do it.
3, 2, 1.
Hello. Happy Wednesday. We're back. Erik needs to buy a watch, is what he says. Ha! Joke's on you. Got a watch right here. Good morning. Good morning. Let's go, Edward. GM Shuby. Great day to draft a winner. That it is. That it is. We got the dog walk in already this morning because it is so welteringly hot. It is definitely hot best ball summertime, and we're here to draft some best ball teams because that's what we do, right? But first, I want to talk a little bit about, of course, my favorite stacks. It spurred the conversation in the Spike Week Discord, which of course you can join with the link in the description while you're looking down there in that description for the link to the Discord. Hit that like button really quick. It's super helpful, particularly for you guys watching live to hit that nice thumbs up so we can keep spreading the wealth of Spike Week knowledge or lack thereof to everybody out there in the YouTube verse. In the Spike Week Discord, there's been a lot of conversation, a ton of conversation, period, because training camp is back. We're all very excited. I'm very, very excited. We actually have stuff to talk about rather than the same old boring Cowboys backfield, Travis Hunter, injured player. What do we do with XYZ? We got stuff to talk about. And a lot of the conversation has been around, correlation and stacking. And when do I take my quarterback, what we would call naked, unstacked? When do I take my quarterback without a pass catcher? When do I take, secondary correlations? How much do I stack? All that different kind of stuff. And so I wanted to, it's been spurring a lot of, I think we've reached the point in the best ball life cycle, year 6 of Underdog Fantasy now, where stacking is somehow becoming like underrated. It was like a thing that everyone has been doing, of course, from the DFS days, brought into best ball, not even from Underdog, back in the MFL 10s and FFPC and draft.com days. All of that stuff, stacking has been a very real thing. But I feel like sometimes we get so deep in the weeds that we forget that in best ball, we're not trying to hit the stone cold nuts of a team. We're not even trying to hit the stone cold nuts of a team in the week 17 final. We're trying to build the best team that beats all of our opponents and making our lives easier with stacking, correlating players on individual teams, right? Over the course of your portfolio, one team you may have a Jaguars team, the next team you may have a Patriots team, the next team you may have a Chargers team. But we want to correlate our bets because it allows us to get fewer things right and beat our opponents in an easier fashion. It's the cleanest path we have to winning is building out a story with our team that is not an 18 or 20 leg parlay. It's more like a 10 leg parlay. The parlay is insane. We're probably not going to hit it. Welcome to Best Ball. There's only one Best Ball Mania winner every single year. So we're probably not going to hit that 10 or 12 leg parlay, but it's much easier to hit a 10 or a 12 leg parlay than it is to hit an 18 or a 20. And so the stacking proponent of it is, of course, in any individual week, when Joe Burrow throws a touchdown, it's probably going to one of the receivers, maybe a Gesicki who is basically just a receiver, maybe a Chase Brown. It's going to one of his teammates, though. That we know for sure. He can't throw a touchdown where the Bengals score points. He can throw a touchdown that gets returned for intercepted and returned for a touchdown. But he can't throw a touchdown to the other team. It has to go to one of those guys. If I've made the bet on Joe Burrow already, or in this instance, if I made the bet on Jamar Chase or T. Higgins or Chase Brown or something like that, it makes a lot of sense to draft Joe Burrow. There's a lot of subtlety and nuance to that. that example happens to be the most popular stack that exists in best ball. But drafting correlations from within our team is, in my opinion, like still probably the most powerful thing that we can do. See, so the funny thing about Josh Allen disagrees with this statement. Josh Allen's pieces have been useful. Josh Allen for one season last year, air quotes, spread it around, and you could pair him with James Cook, because you can also get a situation where it's not just the correlation from the quarterback throwing the pass to the teammate. You can get the situation where, more similar to the Tampa Bay Bucks from last year. Oh, he threw a TD to himself. That's technically, yes. Technically, that is true. You are right. That is factually true. But it's funny that you bring that up, because someone would say, "Oh, he just spreads it around so much," and yet in certain weeks there were Bills wide receivers who, when Josh Allen was throwing, that okay, he is spreading it around, but he's throwing at an elevated rate, and Josh Allen's having one of his Josh Allen games and throwing 40 to 50 times, and all of a sudden Josh Allen drops 40 to 50 fantasy points, and he brings along Quinshon Coleman, even though Quinshon in any individual week, who knows? Dalton Kincaid in any individual week, who knows? Khalil Shakir, Josh Palmer, whatever. Obviously last year, Amari Cooper, Mac Hollins. It could be the running backs. He threw a lot to James Cook, Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, etc. If I've made that bet on Josh Allen, rather than saying how he spreads it around too much, you're going to draft someone else on a different team and now need that quarterback or that player, right? That's adding a leg to your parlay, rather than saying, I've decided that Josh Allen is going to be great. You don't have to load up with all of the Bills guys. Maybe you want to. But it's a boost to Josh Palmer. It's a boost to Quinshon Coleman. It's a boost to James Cook. It's definitely a boost to Dalton Kincaid. And that can be the tiebreaker, right? You may like them less. And certainly when we get to the very end of drafts, we don't want to take players that we would not otherwise even ever consider. For me, that is like the Elijah Moores of the world. I will take Josh Allen unstacked before I will take Elijah Moore, but that means I need to prioritize the other guys. I don't care which one it is. Pick your favorite Bill. I'm going to then prioritize those players. Once I've made the Josh Allen selection, those other players have now become more valuable to the story that this team is telling, which is Josh Allen is going to be awesome. And as much as Josh Allen runs, and as much as he spread it around last year, in previous years, Stephon Diggs guy used to be a first-round pick playing with Josh Allen. Gabe Davis somehow, we're all trying to figure out who did this. Gabe Davis somehow became a fourth-round pick in best ball. For the last couple of years, Dalton Kincaid has been very expensive. Now he's very cheap. There's always been stacking partners that have made sense, whether it be an individual week or over the course of an entire season, even with the likes of Josh Allen, who did spread it around. The whole spread it around guy, they can still have a lot of value, especially because oftentimes those guys are held down in price, right? Those Bills players are held down in price. Oh gosh, I haven't even looked at the early slate. We had a nice evening slate last night in MLB DFS, but so I haven't looked at the early slate. I apologize, Chris. Let me hit some. I'm gonna pull up my highest owned stacks here in a second, and then we'll pop into a Best Ball Mania draft. Probably two of them. Pop into Best Ball Mania, but I want to hit everybody's comments here first. Costco Mats, that Houston LAC. I love both of those teams. It is not my highest exposure week 17, though I love both of those teams. Maybe that's something I need to rectify. We'll look at that here in a second. Curious on your opinion of the team winning it last year without any real stacks. Fluke, good luck. Winning best ball. I don't. So here's what I'll say. I mean, anybody that wins one of these tournaments, unbelievable. Like, shout out, props, congratulations, and all that. I don't look so much at the winning teams. I look at any team can win. You can win with anything. You shake players up into a blender and you spit them out. You got the right smoothie. You can win. Does that mean that was the easiest way to win? No, I'm trying to win the easiest way, man. I'm trying to make I'm drafting 150 teams into Best Ball Mania, and I want the 150 stories that are the easiest way for that team to win. And correlation is just a very simple and easy way for a team to win. I would like to make it easier on myself rather than harder. That's like my life goal. They talk about. I was listening to some podcast. Here's a insane Spike Week lesson or tangent that you know and love. That's what you're here for, of course. People talked about lazy people are actually like the smartest people. The most creative type people are actually a little bit lazier. And I don't know if I'm lazy, like generally speaking, but probably from that perspective, like I want to find the easiest way to do something, right? I want to optimize my time. I want to optimize my brain power, right? So we've had funny conversations. Someone was just here mowing my grass. I pay someone to mow my grass because I know that some people love doing it. I don't. I don't enjoy mowing the grass. Don't enjoy weed eating. I don't enjoy doing all of that. And so saving that hour or whatever of my time and outsourcing it and paying for it is the easiest way for me to optimize my time and get the most out of my time. Other people have the opposite, right? They enjoy the process of mowing their grass. But I'm because I don't want to do that, which would be kind of laziness. I'm finding ways around, the work. And that's what stacking is. It's like it's like lazy, like, oh, I guess I'm just going to take Jalen Hurts again because I have AJ Brown. And like, yes, yes, not on every team, build your portfolio, all that kind of stuff. But yes, because the laziest way is actually the simplest way to win the tournament. And that's what I'm seeking out, is trying to win the tournament. You can definitely win in a myriad of different ways in best ball. The season is total chaos. But stacking is the easiest one, the easiest way to win. Can you talk about stacking versus differentiated pairings, as in quarterback plus tight end or quarterback plus wide receiver one, who are 30+% correlated? Can you elaborate on this a little bit versus, I don't know what you mean by differentiated pairings. I think that there's a lot of different ways. I think you can stack, like using the Josh Allen example, it's just as powerful to stack him with Khalil Shakir as it is Dalton Kincaid. I do frankly love stacking with tight end whenever I can get it. There are some that are a little bit overdone and some that I've frankly overdone myself. Looking at you, probably Dallas Goedert with Jalen Hurts. But the onesie position correlation can be extra powerful because the tight end position, especially on underdog, is so touchdown driven. And it's the lowest scoring position. And so 6 points is a huge deal at tight end. God forbid 12, right? And really 6.5 or 13 because of half PPR at the tight end position. If you just catch a touchdown, you're like going to be a top 10 tight end on the week. So if my quarterback throws a touchdown to his tight end, I'm getting, obviously that's good for the quarterback, but the lowest scoring position, I can instantly gain like a good week and probably a spike week from just a touchdown. And I made it so much easier by putting them together. That touchdown is from my quarterback to my tight end, and it's an extra added incentive of a low scoring position to correlate there. There's probably correlation to enjoying mowing and disliking your marriage. Congrats on a healthy marriage, Erik. That's funny. I do think I have a healthy marriage. That's positive. In the tools, you see high percentage ownerships like, McBride and Kyler are stacked together very frequently. So like in terms of how popular certain stacks are in tournaments is kind of the question. So one third of the Trey McBride teams have Kyler Murray, right? I know you didn't mean this, but I do see people say 1/3 of the teams in Best Ball Mania have Trey McBride plus Kyler Murray. It's like, well, no, actually, 1/3 of the Trey McBride teams, which is, of course, 1 in 12 teams have Trey McBride, and then 4 out of 12, right? 33% of the 1 in 12. So the raw number is a little lower. But I don't want to run away from good pairings just because other people are doing it. The correlation between teammates should be higher than the average correlation. That's how it should work. If it starts to run away from me, I will look to still put them together, still draft Trey McBride, Kyler Murray teams, but find teams you can use our same tools, right? Use Tournament DB or use Draft IQ and see what types of players are not being drafted with those guys. So those guys are very popular together. Trey McBride and Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, very popular together. Who are people not? Who can I pull up at a certain pick? You know, a lot of these guys that we're all talking about here go on the left side of the board, aka they go, you know, they're paired very heavily with the first pick, 24th pick, etc. Who is not going on that side of the board that I can move over and take with them? Or I get a faller in a draft. I may not even love that faller. I don't love Ken Walker or Alvin Kamara. They're not my favorite personal picks this year, but they fall and it creates a unique pairing with that. I'm going to take them on that team because it's a way to differentiate a pretty popular pair. For reference, I'm drafting Jamar Chase 101, not every single time, but almost every single time I'm drafting Jamar Chase 101, and I'm drafting a ton of Jamar Chase and Trey McBride because I think they're awesome picks. They just so happen to play each other in week 17, which is good. That's great. I'm happy about that, but it's also making them even more popular paired together. But I'm going to eat that chalk is my personal plan in all formats of best ball this year because I think they're both awesome picks. But once I've accepted that chalk, I don't want to just also keep drafting all the exact same players that everyone else drafts with Jamar Chase and Trey McBride. So I'm looking to differentiate at other spots. And that's going to be different for every sometimes I'm going to pull somebody up. Sometimes I'm going to get a faller. Sometimes, I'm going to do something, but I can't say what it's going to be in every single draft, but that's the mindset of those popular types of teams. Lazaro likes Jahan Dotson on Jalen Hurts teams on DraftKings in round 20. I can't get to Jahan Dotson. I would rather just like a great perk of Will Shipley. You'll see in just a second. Let's go ahead and pull it up so I can show you some of the things that we're talking about here. But you can use the running back. There's absolutely nothing at all wrong with using the running back as a correlation piece. Yes, you would absolutely rather have a pass catcher, which of course a running back is technically a pass catcher, but you know what I mean. A wide receiver or a tight end is the more powerful correlation. But over the course of the season, there are also benefits to having the running back. It doesn't have to just be the pass catching running back, as we talked about with like Josh Allen and James Cook. You can consume an entire offense. With in an individual week, you can consume it basically an entire offense, all the meat and potatoes of the offense. There might be some green beans or something on the side that Keon can have. I wonder if Keon likes green beans. I don't know if that's a good example. There's always scraps, but you could consume the core of the fantasy production from a running back and a quarterback together. Of course, a quarterback can throw a touchdown. To running backs catch touchdowns. It's not like that rare of a thing. And Dotson is for me in the list of I don't want any of that guy. It doesn't matter if I have Jalen Hurts on that team. That doesn't mean that's right. Same thing with Elijah Moore. That doesn't mean that's right. That there are certain guys. We'll have to draw a line, I think, somewhere of this guy's draftable or this guy's not. And for me, they're below that line. Let's see. Is it Woody Marks season now? It might be. All right. So I pull up Draft IQ here. I went to the exposures tab, which I particularly enjoy because it is a little bit of like a summary of all the, it's a summary of your exposures and a summary of all kind of the most relevant things for best ball. So I've done 60 BBMs thus far, and this is what some of my exposures look like, specifically from a stacking perspective. We have, so this does not necessarily include quarterbacks, but we have a bucket here of teams where I drafted 2 or more players from that NFL team. And naturally, when Will Shipley is your highest owned player, this is where a lot of this comes in. A lot of my highest owned players are included in this. Not always my highest owned quarterbacks. I mean, quarterback stacks. As a matter of fact, you'll see the Denver Broncos are one of my highest, air quotes, stacked teams, but I mostly love the running backs. And I do take the late round. I don't draft Cortland Sutton and I don't draft Evan Ingram that much for those 2 guys. And I don't really draft Bo Nix that much, but I draft a ton of RG Harvey, a ton of J.K. Dobbins. And I like the Pat Bryant, Devon Dele, Troy Franklin trio of wide receivers late. So I am drafting, these are stacks. They're not stacks they're stacks without the quarterback or secondary stacks, but they are stacks. nonetheless, the Eagles being my favorite, I've made it well known my love for Will Shipley, but also my love for the Eagles passing game. The Jalen Hurts price is great. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Devontae Smith price, great. AJ Brown's price, great. I obviously am not really drafting Saquon Barkley, so you'll see that here in just a second. The Cowboys, tons of CD, tons of George Pickens. You guys know I like Javonte Williams, Jake Ferguson. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback target. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course. This list is definitely all the teams that I cannot stop drafting, for sure. The Rams, another one similar to the Broncos. I love all the Rams pieces. I don't particularly love Matthew Stafford. So this is a stack that I can't stop drafting that is without the quarterback. And of course, the 49ers. One of my favorite teams to stack, whether it be with Brock Purdy, without Brock Purdy, does not matter to me. I love the San Francisco 49ers. So you can also scroll down in Draft IQ and see your quarterback stacks here. So these would be stacks that absolutely have the quarterback, right? This would count for Will Shipley and AJ Brown and not Jalen Hurts. These obviously are the stacks. So 11 of my 60 teams stacked Jalen Hurts, 10 of them stacked Trevor Lawrence, 9 Brock Purdy, 8 Michael Penix, 7 Justin Herbert. This is all, it's fun when you pull up your exposures and start to dig into your portfolio, and it's about going to plan, because this is what I would be hoping for, especially in Best Ball Mania. The Jaguars, if you listened, Pat Rain and I a few weeks back ranked all 32 stacks for Best Ball this year, and the Jaguars were actually our number one stack. Cost matters in that, of course, very, very much. That's why even though I have stacked the Eagles a little bit more, the Jaguars' cost has been just an absolute potential cheat code. We shall see. But I think the Jaguars' prices are incredible, and you can get a myriad of different Trevor Lawrence stacks. You can take him with Brenton Strange or De'Ami Brown. You can, of course, take him with Brian Thomas Jr. at the 1-2 turn. You can I don't mean take Trevor Lawrence at the 1-2 turn. I mean Brian Thomas Jr. at the 1-2 turn and take Trevor Lawrence later. You can take him with Travis Hunter. You can take him with the running backs. You can take him with a bunch of all of those guys. So Jaguar stacks are a very, very big priority to me. We talked a lot about why on that episode of Legendary Sickos. The price, the breakout potential. Still somewhat believing in Trevor Lawrence, but believing in Liam Cohen, despite the fact that he can't say Duval. And the myriad of talent that's on this team now with Travis Hunter, with De'Ami Brown, with Brenton Strange, with Bashal Tutin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Brock Purdy, the 49ers, another team that I have made it very, very well known, is a priority for me in best ball circles, although they're very similar to the Eagles, where I'm not really drafting Christian McCaffrey, but George Kittle, I believe, is my highest owned tight end. It's up there. Let's look. Let's do the draft. Let's just do the draft board. Let's see. So I have 15% Kittle. Nope, Trey McBride is up there. Harold Fannin is probably up there also, by the way. But we're not. This is a stacking episode, and we're not talking about the Browns. But 15% George Kittle, a little bit more Trey McBride. But these would be the teams that I'm going to continue to load up here. Shuby has Cam Ward the highest. I don't know how much Cam Ward. Let's see. Cam Ward is down here on the list for sure. 2 Cam Ward stacks for me down there with Caleb May. So, some of these are I like Drake May. I like Caleb stacks. I like a lot of the different quarterback stacks. So this is a little flatter than usual for me, but absolutely Eagles, Jaguars, 49ers, Falcons, Chargers. I think we could argue that this Bryce number maybe needs to come down a small tick, but I'm pretty comfortable with this spread and with this top 5 would be the stacks the QB stacks that I know I'm going to have a ton of, and I'm going to continue drafting. Shuby likes the Bears. GM Viper. Bruce says I'm drafting a ton of Jags, basically because of my belief in Liam Cohen and his offensive play calling, etc. I'm with you. I also very much like the talent. Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown. Brenton Strange is fine. The running backs are varying levels of exciting between the three of them, and I still do believe enough in Trevor Lawrence. So it's like a combination of Cohen with all that stuff. The defense is probably not going to be very good again, and so very, very much into the Jaguars from kind of every angle. That's funny. Chris, Bryce to the moon. So to the Cam Ward point, I've used Bryce as my backstop more often than backstop, meaning sometimes the draft doesn't go your way, or you have drafted T-Mac, in the 4th or the 5th round, and so you have outs to Bryce Young. But sometimes the draft doesn't go your way, and you don't get Michael Penix, you don't get Brock Purdy, you don't get Jalen Hurts, you don't get Trevor Lawrence, you don't get your top priorities, or you don't get necessarily the exact quarterbacks that you perfectly wanted on this team. And we would have what we call a backstop of, I might have to reach a couple picks for this guy, but I'm going to use him in that tier as this didn't go according to plan, but all else fails, I'll land on Bryce. And that's kind of what it has been for me thus far. I think you can use Cam Ward in that regard. I think you can use Geno Smith or Tua, or not so much Stafford for me, but there's guys back there that you can definitely do that with. Sam Darnold, maybe, if you like him more than I do. But Bryce is kind of the guy for me. That's why he falls so high on this list, is when it doesn't go according to plan, or maybe you have T-Mac on the team, Bryce can make for a nice little backstop. Dorito at 28%. Purdy, I love it. 23% love for Nolan. 23% love stacks for Nolan. That's funny. How much are you willing to reach for a stack? So it's a great question. And the simplest way that I would classify it is, I don't want to reach over tiers of players. I don't want to reach from tier C into tier A. I probably don't want to reach from tier C into tier B, but I definitely don't want to reach from tier C into tier A just to complete a stack. There's the quarterback part of it is a little trickier, and where you're drafting, Underdog can be a little bit more forgiving at the quarterback position. If you're drafting on DraftKings, you might just need to reach. You probably will just need to reach for that quarterback if you need him to complete the story of that team. On Underdog, it's a little bit better. And like I said, I don't want to be giving up insane value by reaching through my personal tiers, not the market's tiers. So like ADP is only a portion of what a tier would exist for me. But I don't want to, if there's a certain player available that's not going to come back to me, that is really powerful, and I can push to still get that stack closer to ADP to complete it. If that player is a priority to me because he's in a separate tier, that I want to take that player in the separate tier. I don't want to reach over that. But so long as we're like close enough to a flat range, or that player, I built a robust team and the player who's in a separate tier is a running back and I don't need a running back, cool. But it's a lot dependent, as is always the case, it's a lot dependent upon the team that I've drafted thus far, how much I'm willing to reach to complete that stack. And sometimes I'm not willing to reach at all, depending upon how. I built a 0 running back team, and so I need that stack, but I really need running back firepower right now. It's a constant push pull of how to handle completing your stacks. Tiers, says Matt, so important. I agree. Charles, good morning. Good morning. A Dean, brother, I have 79% Cam Ward. Shout out to A Dean. I absolutely love it. Viper says, I was traveling through the Himalayas listening to your early season podcast. I've been hitting Shipley hard ever since. Glad we got in early. Cheers, Viper. Amen. Awesome. Hope the Himalayas were a ton of fun. That sounds incredible. I don't know if it sounds incredibly to be listening to me and probably Pat and Rob while you're in the Himalayas, but I appreciate it nonetheless, and I'm very jealous of you. That sounds amazing. Dorito says, this year you try to push the wide receiver and reach for the quarterback where it was 100%. Everybody should read this. In years past, the quarterbacks would fall because we would all stay in our lanes. This year, we're all trying to figure out who did this one too. Fucking Pat has put all the quarterbacks are now more of a priority to our opponents, and thus you can push the wide receivers, the tight ends, maybe not as much tight ends sometimes, but you can push the skill players more than you can push the quarterbacks this year, and that did not always used to be the case. Yeah, that is some conviction on Kim Ward. I love it. Sizzle 18% Mahomes and 13. I think I need to probably get my Mahomes specifically in BBM. I'm almost certain I need to get my my Mahomes back going. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get some of these stacks into BBM. I almost said we're gonna do 20 seconds, and then very, very quickly realized, they got rid of 30 seconds. What a crime! They're out to get the streamers by removing the 30-second clock. That's nonsense. 14 to 16% of May, Love, Purdy, Ward, and Caleb for Mac. I like it. I'll be honest. I do think the QB stacks, especially this year, you can't go wrong. You can't really go wrong too much in most of these situations. I need to get my Dak Prescott up for sure. I mentioned I'm cool with my top 5, but I only have 7% Dak stacks. And obviously CD is a very big priority for me. As you see on the draft hacker here, I have a whole boatload. I have 20% of CD Lamb, 11% Chase, 7% Jefferson, 0 Bijan, 2% Saquon, 20% CD Lamb, 6% Gibbs, 1% CMC, 21% Puka, 14% Neighbors. The Nico number's too low. 7% Nico, but you will see in a second. 13% BTJ. So that's kind of how my first round is spaced out. So you see where my kind of priorities lie. In the first round, that will often transcend down into my favorite stacks. Naturally, the Cowboys are a favorite stack. And the Rams, as I mentioned, although not a Stafford being a priority for me, the Rams are a priority for me. Bijan goes. We put CD on the thumbnail. I have CD ranked 102. Let's stand on our laurels. Let's put our what's on the table. Joe Milton getting buzz. Yeah. Jerry Jones is a senile old man, and the Cowboys are an absolute disaster. So that being said, if there is something that I'm concerned about, it would be the Cowboys inevitably shitting the bed this season yet again. But CeeDee Lamb proved to me last year that I'm not sure. Even the Cowboys disaster scenarios don't matter for CeeDee Lamb, and that's powerful to me. Opinion on Milrow as a round 20 dart. We had a good conversation. Again, shouting out to the Discord, which is in the description. You can join the Discord. Some basic channels like support and the live streams channel and such are all free in the Discord. But if you want to open up all the 100 other channels where everybody's living and talking strategy, you can be a Spike Week subscriber, $39.99 a month, or just now we lowered the annual price to $200. So if you're a subscriber, you get access to the Discord. If you don't want the tools and you don't want your rankings and all that kind of stuff, you're good on that. Totally get it. It's just $5. There's a Discord only subscription option. You can join for $5. But we had a great conversation about Jalen Milrow. Some folks I know like him a lot more than I do. In our Discord, I certainly see the rushing component, and I see the Sam Darnold disaster potential component to Jalen Milrow. My issue with Jalen Milrow is I think in 20 rounds, if something goes awry and you get locked out, he would be up there on the list for me, undoubtedly. From oh shit, I'm in trouble at quarterback. Let's swing on somebody with upside and a path to getting on the field this season. The problem for me is that as a prospect, I do think Jalen Milrow. I was really hoping for him to land in a more fun situation because I do think he has fantasy upside. I did rank him as my number one rookie fantasy quarterback, and I still stand by that. I think if he plays, he has the most fantasy upside of any of the quarterbacks. But this situation is rough. He's a really poor passer, really poor. Really good athletic runner, but a really poor passer behind a rough offensive line. And if Sam Darnold is going to get benched, it means that this ecosystem is a problem. And I don't want this really raw rookie poor passer in a really terrible ecosystem that got the other quarterback benched, who was also struggling in these kind of scary situations, right? He saw Sam Darnold goes back to seeing ghosts. I think Jalen Milrow would see some ghosts in a similar situation. That's my biggest issue. Let's see. 10% JT. Let's just do JT. Let's just do JT. That's fine. Getting a little heavy on JT with CD, but that's okay. I'm pretty into Jonathan Taylor at this price. I like being able to get an anchor here. As you saw, I have an absolute boatload of Trey McBride. So I don't mind trying to capture a little bit of a different pairing here for me. So Garrett Wilson goes. I'm going to take Devontae Adams. I mentioned the Rams being Devontae is a part of a reason why I have a lot of Rams. Obviously, Puka and Jarquez Hunter are the driving forces behind my Rams exposure primarily, though I do like Devontae Adams. And I do not have this in Best Ball Mania. I do not yet have this 3-person start, CD plus JT plus Devontae. And I would like it. It sounds good to me. GM Lutz. Oh, what is your lowest stack? And are you good with fading teams like Cleveland and Pitt? Great question. Milroe won't stay in the pocket long enough to see ghosts. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that's not good. You need to pass. You can't only run, unfortunately. We need the rushing is great. You can't only run, and if you're only running, that's bad. It's not good. You need to like even as a Konami code quarterback, you need to sustain drives and you need to complete passes. And they already have a very, very scary group of skill players in Seattle. I obviously like JSN, and the running backs are fine, but I'm not really excited about Torrey Horton. Hopefully, we're hoping for Torrey Horton, but Jalen Milroe had Ryan Williams last year at 17 years old, already one of the best college wide receivers in the country. And Milroe was very bad. Milroe is the only quarterback in a while to make Alabama not that good. And it wasn't all his fault, of course, but Ghostbusters. Are you okay with fading teams like Cleveland and Pitt? I am. From a stack perspective, yeah. I will have no Aaron Rodgers. I will have no Cleveland quarterbacks in Best Ball Mania. It's just not of interest to me. I'm largely fading the Steelers outside of the running backs. I'm drafting Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren, and I'm fine with that. I'm sure there's been a team or something where a Freiermuth or a Jonnu becomes a part of it. I like the Browns a little bit more. The Judkins thing, we don't got to relitigate the Judkins thing, but Dylan Sampson is still a priority for me, even at this current price. I do like David Njoku, and I think you can take some shots on the Cedric Tillmans of the world, but Jerome Ford. But again, like secondary style stacks, and those would be those guys. New Orleans, the Giants. I love Malik Neighbors. But outside of a little bit of Slayton, a little bit of Theo Johnson, the Giants, kind of the offenses you would expect, but specifically the offenses with either bad or murky quarterback situations. Let's do this. Let's do this Dallas thing. I know I have a boatload of George Pickens, and I have a bunch of George Pickens already with a lot of these guys that I've drafted. But if we say we can't stop drafting these stacks, I do love me some Dallas Cowboys passing game. So if I just draft all the Browns, one of them has to hit, right? I mean, probably, yeah. I should have said Harold Fannin. Obviously, that's the one that's going to hit. Problem solved. I like the tight ends on the Browns. That's what she said. Do you think Dart is a good third quarterback? All right, hold on. Let's see. Obviously, I take a bunch of Devontae. 10% Zay, though I have 33%. Let's do Travis Hunter, actually. I've been trying to get my Travis Hunter bags up a little bit before training camp, and I don't really have him with these kinds of teams. And of course, he plays against Jonathan Taylor in week 17, so that is nice. It's a nice little cherry on top. Do you think Dart is a good third QB or too much risk of total 0? So I also have to admit, with Milroe, with this quarterback class, Dart specifically, I really did not like Dart, the prospect. And so they made it clear literally this morning, Brian Daboll made it clear Russ is the starter. And I know we are obviously not drafting Dart because we think he's going to start week 1. I think we've all accepted that Russ is going to start the season, but that the Giants it's going to be bad. And it probably will be with their schedule 1-7 or something like that is probably pretty likely. And at which point you do probably get Jackson Dart. Dayball did mention today, like he's excited for Dart, but he said, and I quote, he has a long way to go, which is kind of my perception of Jackson Dart. Despite playing in college for an extended period, made a lot of dumb mistakes still. And I'm just not a big proponent of him as a player, as a quarterback. So anyone attached to Malik Neighbors, and I do still sneakily believe in Brian Dayball, honestly. So anyone attached to that, I think, has some upside. He's definitely going to be a 0 for most of the season, unless Russ gets hurt. Even while they're losing, Russ is going to stay out there for a while. They have started negotiating contract extensions for Brian Dayball, which doesn't necessarily mean he won't get fired, but it sounds like they don't want to fire him, which could mean, he feels comfortable losing with Russ, or it could mean he feels comfortable going to Dart earlier. I haven't decided what I kind of feel about those contract negotiations. Nonetheless, I'm not really drafting Jackson Dart, though. Again, we're talking best ball mania here today. A lot of these guys are just off the table for me, specific to 18 rounds. In 20, I think we could have a little bit better conversation. Yeah, I agree. Not much better than Levis as a prospect, and I hated Will Levis too. Back on the clock. Speaking of, I think this is a nice little spot to take Caleb. Trying to keep my Godwin exposure in check. I have 14% Chris Godwin, and he's just going to keep tumbling, even though I do still like him. And I certainly understand the injury risk. I'm not believe it or not, I may be a moron, but I'm not a total moron. I understand the risk. I just also believe that the upside on Chris Godwin is outstanding at these prices. But the fall is going to keep happening. He's not practicing yet. He's working off to the side at Bucks camp, which means he is inevitably going to keep falling as he recovers from his injury. Bobby says, Dart just dropped the dime to Scattaboo for 6. It's funny. Njoku to Houston. That would be fun. I don't know. Njoku for that would be fun for real life football. Like he just said, we just said we're trying to keep our Godwin exposure in check, and now pick 75 guys. Come on. I'm gonna do Matthew Golden. I need more. I need to have more Matthew Golden. Give me outs. Give me outs to Jordan Love. Scattaboo, I do really like, says D. Owens. Tracy doesn't seem that hard to unseat. I would agree. I would agree with that. We had a nice we recorded on Monday, dropped it yesterday. Go check out the latest Legendary Sickos, which was our WTF episode, meaning the players that we're classifying as WTF, like we don't really know what to do with. Like, what is this guy? And the Giants backfield, actually, perfect segue, was one for me. I like Cam Scattaboo better than Tyron Tracy. Do I totally understand why both the Giants running backs go around pick 100? Not really. Do I love either? Not really. Like, I don't know. I like Scattaboo the player. I get it. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of both of them. Scattaboo is falling, which I like. That's nice. He'll probably be my second. Either Scattaboo or Slayton will be my second highest owned Giant, of course, behind Malik Neighbors, which will hover in somewhere around 15%. Bobby says, I'm taking Singletary because why not? Well, because you could draft someone else would be the why not. You could draft someone who's going to play football in the NFL this year. Singletary, the hope would be someone comes in and saves him from the Giants, which is a reasonable thing. I would just rather wait and see on that, because if he's just the RB3 on the Giants, then he's an awful pick. That would be the why not. But if he's on a different team, I could see it. I thought you were Bolick on underdog too. unless you're just not in here and you're even being a bigger troll than usual. See, I don't think he could be the RB1. Tyrone Tracy was already the RB1 last year with the same. We definitely don't know what kind of cheech Dayball is smoking, as Bobby says, but I don't. He made Tracy the RB1 over Singletary last year, and I drafted a bunch of Singletary last year, so I'm with you on Mr. Motor as a underappreciated fantasy asset. He goes in and just takes backfields all the time. So in that regard, I could see it, but just not my favorite. Plenty of options, man. I really need to get more Dak here, and I was considering, doing a little reach around action, but I guess we'll wait here. Let's see here. Holy smoke. Okay. Let's go get Trey Harris. You missed your pick. Let's get Trey Harris because every team deserves to have Trey Harris on it. I said reach a round. I was going to reach by a round on YouTube. Adine says I have like 10 players over 40%. Bad idea or go all in. That is a totally personal preference, and I completely get anyone who says ultimately anything about and I am taking Dak Prescott a round early. I reached by a round, but I did jump. Peppertoni, I'm here for I did do a Reddit AMA Monday. I believe Crane did one yesterday, and somebody else is doing maybe Swolecast today. I don't remember. There's a Reddit AMAs out there on the fantasy football subreddit. Just here for the Trey Harris propaganda. That is going to continue. Trey Harris also notably getting some phenomenal hype from the Chargers coaching staff, which we do very much love to see around here. He signs. We were worried about the second rounders. We accomplished that hurdle. We got many more hurdles to go for our boy Trey Harris, but we're moving in the right direction with the hype. I'm getting very excited. Hampton, Burden got a fully guaranteed deal. All our boys are in camp. We avoided the disaster, and now they're already popping off. It's a great time to be a Trey Harris slappy. Ryan Williams is so good that he is reshaping 2027 dynasty pick trades. Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith were arguably the two best wide receivers in all of college football last year. Mind you, Travis Hunter and T-Mac existed. Jeremiah Smith was the best wide receiver in all of college football last year at 18 years old. Ryan Williams was one of the best wide receivers in all of college football last year at 17 years old for most of the season. Those two, if you're in dynasty leagues, obviously they're not eligible for multiple more years. That's why, but 2027 picks, Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, going to be quite powerful for your teams. Those two dudes are awesome. Go watch, if you didn't watch the Georgia-Bama game from this past season, it was nuts. The second half was absolute insanity. One of the most fun college football games I've ever watched, truly. The Ryan Williams catch when he does this, like the slow-mo spin move between two defenders and makes it look so casual, is one of the sickest plays I've ever seen in my entire life in football. So the question is, all right, let's do Sharbs here. I don't have, as you can see, all the exposure percentages and such on the screen are my percentage of that player with the players who have currently drafted on the team. The players I've currently drafted, of course, Dak Prescott, Jonathan Taylor, Caleb Johnson, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, George Pickens, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, and Trey Harris. It's not every single one of those guys. You can see in this see where I'm hovering over show team view. You can go to show combo ownership view, and it will show all the upcoming players in the player queue and your exposure with every single player on your team. So like you see Jared Goff, I have 0% Jared Goff with, who is this? With Devontae Adams, right? So first round pick, second round pick, third round pick, fourth, fifth, etc. on down the list. Wow, Michael Penix goes. So the question is, Herbert or Lawrence? Herbert or Lawrence? Herbert or Lawrence? Let's do Lawrence. I don't trust you guys, and I'm trying, as I mentioned, my favorite stacks, though the Chargers are up there, especially the Herbert Trey Harris stack is a very, very fun one. We got to draft the Jags. Cowboys Jags with JT. Yes, sir. How do you see the combos? This is from the Spike Week Draft Hacker. So if you subscribe to Spike Week, it's $39.99 a month or $200 for a year. You get everything, right? So the Draft Hacker that you're seeing on your screen with all these different options to see. The combinatorial ownership, right? Exposure, whatever, you get to customize what you see. This is just what I have chosen to see. Comes as a part of the Spike Week subscription, which of course I also do rankings for all of Underdog, Drafters, DraftKings, Eliminator, Marathon, whatever. But we do NBA, MLB. Going to try to get hockey going this year. We got college football. We got rankings for everything, strategy for everything, and of course the Discord comes with that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all the different stuff comes with this subscription. Every sport, one low price. I got incredibly sick of seeing all the price gouging that goes on across the fantasy industry. Come subscribe to us, and then you want our sports betting package? That's an upcharge. Oh, you want our college package? That's an upcharge. Oh, you want our tools? Oh, you want the optimizer? That's a different package. It's like enough. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I do also plan to do in-season stuff this year. We're going to get some sports betting going. We're going to get some in-season, like Battle Royale, daily drafters stuff. We're going to get some DFS stuff going this year. So that'll all be a part of the package as well. There'll be more for the in-season crowd this season. Is a year 365 days, or does it start on January? 365 days. So if you buy an annual subscription today for $200, you have it for 365 days that you get access. All right. 2-3-6-0 so far. Looks like we're going to be drafting a little. Tucker Kraft would make some sense on this team. Speaking of our secondary correlations, I should not have said that out loud, though Dial already does have 2 tight ends. So maybe this will work quite well. Najee Harris at the top of the queue, who I am still not drafting. I don't know if everyone saw, but Najee Harris not yet practicing. They don't really know. And there goes Dial taking Najee. Thank you, Dial. I'm going to take Tucker Kraft. Of course, I have Matthew Golden. So there's a little Packers stack without Jordan Love, which I love. I do like playing the Packers through all the guys. I take Jordan Love, but he's not like a big priority for me. I'm fine with having Jordan Love shares. I don't want him to be one of my highest owned quarterbacks by any stretch of the imagination. So I can still get access to the Packers while taking a double stack Dak. Say that one 10 times fast. Double stack Dak plus Lawrence stacks, and then get Kraft and Golden, and you still get the benefits of a good Packers pass game season. I know some would take the third quarterback here. I am more of a 2 quarterback guy. The question, though, becomes, do we just go? Let's do it. Let's mega onslaught this Cowboys passing game. If we all say that the running backs stink and maybe the defense isn't so good and they're going to pass a lot, let's get it all, baby. Let's get it all. CD, Pickens, Dak, Ferg. Straight to the money printer. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith should see the NFL. Let this dude play now. Yeah, he could absolutely come in and be like a fucking Pro Bowler in the NFL right now. I need to go rewatch the Maurice Claret. They did, what was it, a 30 for 30? Because I just rewatched because it was on TV while Man, we were like getting ready for something. I don't remember. The 30 for 30 on Len Bias. Extraordinarily sad that the world didn't get to see Len Bias, which then led me to, as you guys well know, I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. We suck so bad. God, the Cardinals suck. I'm excited though. This is a trade deadline that I'm excited for the Cardinals. Well, cautiously optimistic. Excited's not the right word, and I'm praying to God we ship out some of these losers and start to rebuild the farm system. Nonetheless, Len Bias, Oscar Taveras. I don't know if anybody remembers Oscar Taveras. That was like one of the sadder moments I've had as a fan. Passed away in a car wreck. Number one prospect in baseball was going to be the next great Cardinal, and unfortunately passed. I don't know how I got down this track. That's usually what happens in a Erik Beim 4 conversation. Yep, Jose. Man, too many have gone way too soon. On a more positive note, positive Wednesdays. Kendrick Park says, Gino to Jeremiah 2027 cousin to cousin. Are they cousins? Are they really? I didn't know. Let's find out. I hate this goddamn StreamYard. I'm about to be back on the clock. So let's hold our horses here. Did somebody already take Shipley, I assume? The Spike Week draft, I just said. Oh no. He's here? Hey-oh. Will Shipley. Love it. Dude. Dorito says, if the Cardinals start Eric Fetty one more time. I mean, this is pathetic. They're just rolling these guys out there. Just a few weeks ago, we were competing for the playoffs, and now we're just rolling these corpses out. And just like fans are just supposed to accept it. It's nonsense. One of the best baseball franchises in the history of baseball. And we're subjected to this nonsense. It's ridiculous. Oh, baby. I will touch on Stephon Diggs in just a second. Here's one where when we get to the 15th round, and I have Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter, and I'm building out that Jaguar stack. Yes, I know it is a round two. I reached around Bullock to get De'Ami Brown, and I'm totally fine with that. I don't really think there's any difference between any of these guys from round 15 on. I do think like the Shipley, Braylon kind of tier-ish there is a little bit of a different tier than the Jerome Ford, et cetera tier. So that would be a good example of reaching to complete a stack. If Shipley's still on the board, you know me, I'm taking Will Shipley. Sorry, De'Ami. I love you, De'Ami. But I'm just not doing it. That's a different tier. Will Shipley is in a different tier than De'Ami Brown is for me. So I would not have taken De'Ami there over Will Shipley. But once those guys got off the board, Alec Pierce, Tank Bigsby, Jalen Wright, Jalen Knoll, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. Pepper Tony says ADP doesn't matter. Preach, brother. Stephon Diggs. A. Dean says, I love Stephon Diggs. I've had Stephon Diggs ranked ahead of ADP for the whole summer. And, sometimes broken clock, right? It's better to be lucky than good. Obviously, I didn't know. It seemed as though his recovery was going quite well with his knee. And I was also cautiously optimistic about Diggs. How was that going to play out? He could have went on the PUP list for all that we know, but he did not. And so Stephon Diggs was, not a star last year for Houston, but still very solid. Definitely a professional wide receiver. Is he like the ideal number one wide receiver for an offense? No, probably not. I think at this stage he's a 2, or something like that in a good offense. But I'm very excited about the Patriots. I'm very excited about year 2, Drake May, and he is undoubtedly their best wide receiver and lead wide receiver. Stephon Diggs is. So I like him. I'm drafting Stephon Diggs. I think you can draft him even more comfortably now than you were before. I'm getting a nice little Rico Dowdle price here. Oh, damn it, Dial. Actually don't know if I can. I got to decide if Kraft Ferg, if I'm comfortable with Kraft Ferg, or if I'm going to take a tight end. I know I don't, unless I take like a total robust running back room. I really don't like taking fewer than 6 running backs on any site, but especially on Underdog. I understand that like 3, 5, 7, 3 is like all the rage and stuff now. I don't agree with that. I want to have. I'm trying to win the flex. I will say this about 1,000 more times over the course of the summer. My goal is to win the flex. Running backs are going to help me win the flex. Running backs are the position that can pop the most, whether it be by talent, contingent value, ambiguous situation, what have you. I am drafting. We mentioned the Ram stack. Let's do the Ram stack thing with Jarquez as RB6 here. And then we'll figure out if I'm going to do a third tight end, which I might. I am a little bit more open to third. What was my 3 tight end exposure? So I have. You can also see this in your draft IQ. We call it the roster build. So like how many of each position did you draft? And for me, for me, 2-7-7-2 is my favorite structure. Obviously, I draft a lot of 0-ish running back teams. 24 of those, 18 out of 60. I've drafted 60 total BBM teams. 18 of them are 2-6-8-2, and then we do start to get into some of the three tight end stuff. I have a 3-6-6-3 down here. I believe this one was an auto. I remember this team. We have to pull it up, and I don't want to pull it up because it's very embarrassing if I do recall. But I got there in like the 17th round or something like that. Oops, that's the wrong screen. ADP is what you pay. Spike weeks are what you get. That is profound. Gino is his cousin, but also his mentor, says Kendrick. That's kind of awesome. Not kind of. That is awesome. That's very cool. I learned something new today. Shout out Kendrick. Have you been drafting more Arroyo? And do you think Fant will sign somewhere like Miami? I do. I Noah Fant stinks, but people are just going to keep, just like Best Ball Bros have continued to keep giving Noah Fant a chance for 5 years. I assume an NFL team will give Noah Fant a chance because they can't help themselves with these supposed great talents who never actually show any talent on a football field. Have I been drafting more Arroyo? Not yet, but not because I'm not interested. Elijah Arroyo is definitely a difficult one for me. I kind of expected that Noah Fant would be gone, and so I haven't been drafted. I have a sprinkle is what I would call my Arroyo exposure and my Arroyo plans. Honestly, I have a sprinkle now. I will probably just continue to have a sprinkle. I don't love him as a prospect. I know people are doing that. He's a downfield vertical threat. He's a good athlete. Sure. That's great. I mean, like downfield Sam Darnold threats in a bad offense or Jalen Milroe. Like that doesn't sound very good. I want volume and touchdowns. And I guess technically he could score some touchdowns. The late round tight end who I am drafting, who also happens to correlate, is on that Cleveland Brown, correlates with Caleb Johnson in week 17. The real late round tight end to draft, Harold Fannin. Arroyo did stand out at the Senior Bowl. I'm not a huge believer in the whole stand out at the Senior Bowl thing from a predictive sense. I think it's cool. I think it's good. It's not a negative, but I don't think it ultimately matters for our draft process, though I know that other people disagree a little bit. I'm interested. I'm interested in Arroyo and having some Arroyo. I'll have non-zero Arroyo for sure. Yeah. The Seattle tight end situation has been bleak for many number of years. FFB fantasy football number 1. If you're in a 20-round draft, will you always take 3 QBs and 3 tight ends? Absolutely not. Obviously, it is more helpful having the extra 2 roster spots, but I don't treat the 20 rounds that much different than I treat the 18 rounds. I understand that can be controversial. I'm more open. How I think about it is I don't love drafting more than 5 onesies, meaning you only start 1 quarterback and 1 tight end. We call them onesie positions. I don't like drafting more than 5 of those. Shit will happen sometimes, and you'll get forced into it. I have teams with 3 of each. My goal is absolutely across all sites, all formats, all everything to win the flex. If I win the flex position, think about what that means. I win 2 running back positions, 3 wide receiver positions, possibly tight end, and the flex. That's 6 spots, possibly 7 that I win. Because if I'm winning the flex, right, if I'm outscoring other people in the flex, that means my running backs and wide receivers have to be a high score because my flex is high. So I'm winning a bunch of those other positions and I'm winning the flex. I'll figure out the quarterback and tight end thing because I can also win that with lesser volume at the quarterback and tight end position. That's my personal strategy. That doesn't mean that that's right. If you want to take 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends, go for it. But how I'm attacking this season and most seasons, but particularly this season, with more people drafting more onesies, how do I pivot away from that? I draft fewer and I try to beat them at the other positions. Overall, across all of my teams, right, all my 150, like on DraftKings in 20 rounds, I may be overall scoring fewer quarterback points, but overall I'm going to score more points in the other positions. And the goal is to have one team that finishes big for you. And when I show up to week 17, that one team is going to have 2 good quarterbacks, 2 or 3 good tight ends, and I'm going to win the flex. That's my strategy for this year. Exactly. If everybody else is doing one thing, I'm going to pivot into this other alternative. Let's draft another BBM team, shall we? I know it feels this way every year, but late round QB and skipping. So this is interesting. Adine says late round QB and skipping the elites feels so strong this year. I feel sort of the opposite. I feel it depends on your definition of late, I guess I would say. If you mean by late, you mean double digit rounds, totally. I totally agree. The quarterback window down through Michael Penix or Geno, or I kind of have Penix as like a little bit of a tier break, but Lawrence, Herbert, May, Dak, Love, Purdy, all these guys are awesome. I love them all. I don't love the truly late round quarterbacks. I don't love the Darts, Darnolds, Rodgers, the Colts shit show of a situation. I don't love that stuff. Whereas historically, for the last several years, I mean, I drafted, if you recall, the year that Sam Howell was the Commanders starter before they got Jaden Daniels. I had more than 50% Sam Howell in Best Ball Mania. Last year, my highest owned quarterback was I can't remember if Darnold ended up, but Sam Darnold. I did draft Daniel Jones as well last year. Like I'm in on the late round quarterback when they have the right archetype. I don't think that exists this year in terms of like super late. Like Tyler Shuck is not that to me. I don't believe that Jackson Dart is that, etc. So I just don't think that there's that guy back there. So I'm living much more in the. Of course, I love Jalen Hurts, but after the elite guys, I'm living more in the Purdy, Lawrence, Dak, May, etc. range. Yeah, I got no problem with this. Though I do love Lamar. I like the elites. I like them all. I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks. Quarterback is not where I think I'm like winning or losing, other than I'm taking fewer quantity of them. I don't really think like I'm flatter at quarterback than I've ever been in best ball for sure. Would you use the same construction in the marathon compared to BBM? So this is actually where I think the onesie stuff is you want to do it even less. So for me, I do use the same construction. This is perfect. I said I need to get more Nico. We get more Nico. That's fun. All right, now let's see. 14% Amon-Ra with Nico. Don't have Ashton Genty with Nico. 43% BTJ. I think it's time to not take BTJ with Nico once. Try that on for size. Jesus Christ. 43% of my Nico teams have BTJ. I think that's probably a little bit much. AJ Brown goes. Should I do the week 17 stack? Or should I do London? I don't have Bowers with Nico yet. Let's do that, eh? I do not yet have a BBM team with Brock Bowers and Nico Collins. So let's do that one. Congratulations to Dial on the BTJ neighbor start that I'm about to get him. Yeah, London was in consideration. For sure. It was very much in consideration. Brandon says, if I'm in a crazy redraft home league that does draft pick trading, and holy shit, and you have the first, fourth, and sixth overall picks, what combo of those would you love the most? Chase Slam JJ, Chase Slam Gibbs. Yeah, so this is an awesome question. I would get, if I could have my druthers, I would get 2 superstar wide receivers, Chase, CD. My dream here would be Chase, CD, Gibbs is what I would want. I would want to actually, this sounds blasphemous coming from a person who drafts a lot of 0 running back teams, but when you have 4 of the top 6, you're already getting 2 superstar wide receivers. Let's also get that superstar running back. That would be my dream start. Chase, Lamb, Gibbs. Yeah. But if you prefer JJ or Puka or Neighbors, or you prefer Bijan to Gibbs, or you prefer, right? If you prefer that, I think that's fine. You prefer CMC or something like that, that's fine. But I would target 2 of the superstar wide receivers and 1 of those running backs. And for me, it would be Chase, CD, Gibbs. This is funny. Do you draft DK 555 or big dog teams? If so, how different do you draft for smaller week 17 finals? Still not that much different. I do play those. Pat and I are going to record some high stakes drafts. We are also here at Spike Week going to record some high stakes drafts and probably try to figure out a way to do some live. They're a little bit difficult to fill at times, but I do. Last year I did 20. I did 20 teams into the 555 on DraftKings. I won't probably do much, if any, in the big dog. I like the 555 on DraftKings as my high stakes exposure. They also have a really cool $250 single entry and $100 3 entry max on DraftKings. They have some really good like higher stakes tournaments, in my opinion, on DraftKings. Not that the big dog isn't. I just think that there's a nice variety on DraftKings. And the 555 is $1 million to first place. So I did 20 teams in the 555 last year, and I did make the week 17 final. Everybody got hurt. I didn't have a tight end who was healthy. I got like second to last in the final, but it was still a nice score. It still paid for my whole season just making the 555 final last year. So I'll probably do something similar this year, something like 20 555 teams. But honest to God, my strategy doesn't change that much. If anything, the week 17 is just not quite as important. It's a smaller field, but I still like, we still use the tiebreakers that we would always use. We still want to correlate individual teams, but it's more, to me, it would be more about the individual team correlations and secondary correlations, right? So if I drafted Jonathan Taylor, adding another Colt will be more important than adding a Jaguar, right? If I draft Nico Collins, adding Jaden Higgins is more important than adding Quinton Johnston to the team, if that makes sense. Like individual team correlations more important. Who the hell took we'll do JSN. Who took Hampton? What's Hampton's ADP now? Biff Tannen, Hampton at 29. people are going to make it a lot more difficult to get the old Triple H nowadays, huh? Hampton going mid-third round. The Slappies finally woke up and realized Samari and Hampton was a good pick. Huh. That's interesting. Just checking my exposures here. Kyron Kittle. Ugh. What do we do with Terry McLaurin? I'm going to do Xavier Worthy, though. I do not have Xavier Worthy. I have 25% of my JSN teams have Xavier Worthy, but none of my Nico teams and none of my Brock Bowers teams have Xavier Worthy. And the Chiefs are a team that did not show up very highly when we pulled up Draft IQ earlier and all my stack exposures, but they are a team that I'm trying to get more of. So in terms of teams I can't stop stacking, the Chiefs are one that I'm trying to make more of a priority. Interestingly, with the Rice situation, but I'm trying to get more Worthy. I'm trying to continue to take Jalen Royals as absolutely much as I can, but I think I've been light on Patrick Mahomes, and I could see the total scorched earth. We're pissed off that we lost the Super Bowl. We've added a bunch of weapons, even though Rashi is probably going to be suspended, right? We've added a bunch of weapons, and we're going to go back to this is Patrick Mahomes, vengeance season, vengeance tour. God damn it, Colin. Is a good pick. 25% Hampton. Props. Hell yeah, man. What do you change from the BBM to the marathon? Also not that much. Obviously, we throw week 17. We throw playoff correlations overall in the garbage. You do want to make sure, week 1 counts as much as week 17. So you do want to make sure that I'm obviously more open to kind of murky running back rooms to start the season in a BBM. I want to make sure I'm getting some form of production to start the season in something like the marathon. I think some people think that means fewer rookies. I don't think that is the case. I particularly love this year's rookie running back class, even in the marathon. I think that they can be day one contributors and they're not necessarily priced quite like it. And then just team bets, which I do make in Best Ball Mania and such overall, but finding teams that just massively outperform as a collective their price and their, what the market thinks about a team. Like last year's Tampa Bay Buccaneers are like the best example. We've gotten several of these over the course of many years of best ball. Speaking of Geno, when Geno came to Seattle, Russ is gone. Oh no, it's over. They're going to stink now. And then we got a great discount on Seattle and Geno was actually very good. They all outperform their price. Same thing with the Bucs last year. I know Godwin went down early, but he was an awesome asset, especially in the marathon for those first 6 weeks. Then Mike Evans pops, Cade Otton pops for a few games. We know Bucky was great all year, but Rachaad White was also good. Jalen McMillan was good, and Baker was probably the best quarterback pick. Him and Jaden Daniels, the best quarterback picks on the board. So team stacking, which of course is fitting for what we're talking about here today. But I do that in all of them, but it's definitely a little bit more of a priority in the cumulative scoring. Do you do any weekly winners? Not really. Unfortunately, you do kind of have to draw the line. I am a human with only so much time, and I'm trying to draft about, as I mentioned before, about 1,500 best ball teams this summer. And I do college football and I do NBA. I'm going to try to actually do some NHL. And so weekly winners is just unfortunately the least appealing format to me. We do have rankings up for it. And I think we're going to get some strategy content out there for it as well. But damn it, Dial. Let's do the RJ Harvey correlates with Xavier Worthy. But yeah, we'll get something out for weekly winners. It is just not going to be a priority for me. If it happens, it happens. If I get to it, great. God damn it. There goes Travion. James, let's do James Conner. I don't have James Conner with any of these guys either. I have 13% Conner with JSN and no Connor with the rest of the guys that I've drafted on this team. So that feels like a good click here. Connor is a nice little chaperone as well. I think he can just be a good pick this year, but also a nice little chaperone for a 0 RB-ish room. Charles says, are you maxing BBM, DK Millie, and drafters? Yep. Yeah, that's like the foundation of what I try to do every year, the 3 flagship tournaments. Make sure I get 150 into all of those. And then kind of what else? I mentioned the higher stake stuff, which I will definitely do. Last year I tried to max the eliminator. I don't know. I don't love the eliminator format change, but I do just love the general premise of like every week having teams survive in advance or get knocked out in a tournament is very fun. So I probably double back for that. And then I enjoy Superflex actually. I got to like 130 in the first puppy Superflex on Underdog. And then, I'm doing a bunch of all the like smaller field stuff on DraftKings. Like they just launched a new $10 6 max or whatever. That's like 120K prize pool. Like I'm doing all those. I'm trying to make sure I get as much into some of those side tournaments as possible. Damien says there doesn't seem to be a ton of strategy in weekly winners. The problem with weekly winners for me, strategy wise, is I think it's a cool concept for a tournament. I really do. I think I think the payout structure is a little rough, and I think they have not historically had a functional like leaderboard to sweat your teams. Like you don't know what the guys in front of you have. Like I can't go to a leaderboard in a DFS tournament, right? I can see what the other people that are ahead of me have. Like, what do I need to change? What do I need? And I can see my own team. You couldn't even click and see your own team. You couldn't click to see who the teams that were in front of you are. It's not. It wasn't updating the scores in real time. I'm hoping that they fix some of that, and maybe that would change my perception of this. But the payout structure is not awesome. And then specifically from a strategy perspective, as Damien says, they use their regular position. So you can only draft 10 wide receivers. You can only draft 10 running backs. That's the max. And I don't think you should put the same positional limits on a weekly winners tournament. For me personally, I don't really want to draft more than one quarterback and one tight end, sometimes multiple tight ends. But like my strategy for weekly winners, which I'm not saying is the right strategy, but I think we should let everyone choose their own adventure in this new format. And I think one of the best ways to build a team is actually a robust team, but I need more than 10, right? Take one quarterback, one tight end, 4 running backs, and like get elite quarterback, elite tight end, some awesome running backs, and then just take 12 wide receivers or something like that, right? Or you can do the opposite with running backs. Take some superstar wide receivers, take some superstar tight end and quarterback, and then let me draft as many of the other positions as I want. And unfortunately, you can't do that. So I think it takes away from the fun of drafting. But it's a cool idea. Yeah, and also beating like 200,000 teams to win 20K feels rough. How'd you do in the eliminator? Ryan says, I made it to week 14 or 15. My last team died in 14 or 15. Hey, look at this. The man says he wants more Chiefs and more Patrick Mahomes stacks specifically. Oh, we are cooking with some gas this morning. Yeah, I like this. Bobby says, last year I did 80 weekly winners teams. All of them were 1791. I like it. Yeah, top 100 teams, and you make shite. I love the shite reference. I feel like I'm watching a Guy Ritchie film. Aaron Jones. I probably don't do enough B-Rob. And I can't really explain why. He was like a pretty good pick at close enough to this price last year. And I took a lot of them. And now I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with Brian Robinson. And I don't have a great explanation for that. So boring. And Aaron Jones is pretty boring too, though I do agree. Shout out Dial. He definitely has a dead zone profile, but he doesn't, right? I'm getting the dead zone profile at like pick 90. It's like the dead zone backs can like, I don't know. It's weird. It's bizarre. He's definitely going to be like, he's never going to be a league winner. Brian Robinson. It's just not going to happen. But can he be useful in a quasi zero running back room? Yeah. So I think it's like he's chaperone. He's like, he might be the peak running back chaperone. Just like, when I need you for a while, get me double-digit points sometimes, right? Score a touchdown every once in a while because you're on a good offense with Jaden Daniels, and help me, just help this team advance, kind of, right? Or maybe he has one good game in the playoffs that helps you. He's definitely not going to be a league winner, but he's like the facilitator. You know what I mean? Brian Robinson can't be a dead zone back when he already almost died. Love that. Also, how can you not love Brian Robinson? The many men, when they filmed him coming out of the tunnel after he came back from getting shot, to many men, holy shit, that gives me chills. Still, if we watched it right now, it would give me chills. Do you have an overlay / AI for your videos that tags different players based on what you're discussing? I notice it says Hunter Henry at the moment. No, that's YouTube. See, I don't think about it this way. This is a fair comment. Bobby says, even if you hate weekly winners, if you woke up Tuesday morning with a 20K bank you weren't paying attention to, I bet you change your mind about it. Sure, but I have to put money into it to get the 20K bank. And I can say this about, if I invest that money in something else, I would also not be mad about it. You know, like, sure, yes, if someone handed me $20,000, of course, but that's not what's happening here. Yeah, no one's handing me 20,000. I got to do the work and invest the money. And I'm choosing to invest the money in something else that can net me more than $20,000. And I'm going to enjoy it more. I think that's a lot of it, what it comes down to for me. And I think we've lost some of that in the best ball world. If I see the word, or the phrase EV, or my model, or the sim say, and all this kind of stuff, like, I feel like we've lost the plot a little bit. We're supposed to have some fun. And for me, the weekly winners thing isn't as fun. The eliminator is very fun. So that's why, even though I wish they just left last year's format, because I thought it was awesome. I prefer that, but I'm still probably going to play because I think it's really fun. I think it's a fun ass format. Yeah, Nick prefers the weekly split. I think that there ain't nothing wrong with that. Do, 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 do. Yeah. All right. We did Mahomes. I'm not going to do Judkins. Oh boy. How about a Tyler Warren with Brock Bowers team? Mix it up a little bit. Let's see what's going on at quarterback. Man, I don't have any. Who are my wide receivers? Nico, JSN. Okay. %29% Stroud with, oh shit, I'm on the clock. Tyrone Tracy at it. Oh, whoops. Hopefully Judkins plays. Whoopsies. Getting too excited to set up my quarterback later. Let me get there you go. Looks like a Milrose stack. I want it to be a CJ Stroud stack, which is what I was obsessing over, and then we took Quinshon Judkins. But honestly, I think it's fine. Yeah, we're buying the dip, baby. I do think Quinshon Judkins is going to. I think the most likely scenario is he'll be fine. I do think, as we've discussed before, and we discussed last week, That the problem for him is missed practice time when he has these teammates who can capitalize on his missed practice time. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's going to sign. I don't think he's going to get suspended this year. Those are all the most right. Thinking probabilistically. Shout out to Bales. Thinking in probabilities. I think the most likely scenario is it's fine for Quinshon Judkins in terms of playing this season. I'm hoping he keeps getting cheaper, and then I'm going to get some. Yeah, he'll be fine as much as one can be fine while on the Browns, says Pepperdoni. That is a fact. Erik taking over for Kitchen, going all in on problematic Browns players. I can assure you I'm not all in, though I didn't do myself any favors in that regard here. That's for sure. Charles says, in the Eliminator, if you make it to week 10, the sweat becomes real every week. It is fun. It really is fun at the end. That's why it was so awesome. I liked that there would be 6 to 10 teams, 8 or 10 teams later in the season. I enjoyed that more than the head-to-head component. And maybe I'll change my tune. If I look back and I enjoyed the head-to-head part of it better, cool. That's fine. I'm always happy to, right? If I change my mind, if I was wrong, I'll tell you. I don't think I'm wrong, but if I am, if the head-to-head part of it is better, cool. Coach Speak Index is popping off. We are definitely back. Yeah, I'm not going to say that one. We're going to leave that one on YouTube. Yeah, this is like it. Your teams are going to get wiped out if you make it to week 10. Good, like congratulations. If you make it to week 6, it's a goddamn accomplishment. But that's also why I know a lot of people's strategy is like front load. We gotta do everything for week 1. We got to do everything for the early season. And I'm like, yes, you want to make sure that your early season stuff is good, but also if everybody front loads and you get some kind of good luck in your roster, and oh no, what does this guy got going here? Caleb, does he have any Houston? No. I'm just gonna take Stroud. I don't want to. I already screwed up once. I don't want to push it. He's gonna take Tajay, which I would like to have, but that's okay. This is a fair. I don't care about getting 17 weeks out of every lineup when like the payout structure and stuff, is as bad as it is. But it's a totally and completely fair perspective. Tajay Spears. All right, I know I did not recap well enough. Last draft through 12 rounds. We started with Nico and Bowers, my first team of Nico and Bowers. JSN, Xavier Worthy. We talked about trying to get more Chiefs. We're getting more Chiefs. RJ Harvey, James Conner. Love that. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, stacked with Worthy. Brian Robinson, we just talked about. Mr. Chaperone himself. Tyler Warren, let's not talk about Quinshon Judkins. CJ Stroud to go with Nico and Tajay Spears. Yes, I am yelling. Yeah, this sucks for sure. The nice thing is there will also probably be some teams that get very lucky and land easy matchups for their first 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, like the contest is insane variance. Insane variance. So lean into it. Don't try to shield against it. You're playing head-to-heads every week. Don't run from it. Yeah. This is best ball. This is when you have D. Owens, you have confirmed your best ball sicko-ness. You have a disease and nothing that can cure it. There's nothing that can cure it except for more drafts. The best feeling is when you pass on a value to get the stack pieces, and the value piece still falls back 100%. Yeah. I just want to get to the main bye weeks. Like people are like, you need to put all your bye weeks at the end of the eliminator. And I get it, but like you're still probably not going to make it that far. And then you're just going to get knocked out later. Like I'm not using this as a double up contest. I'm trying to win the whole fucking thing. So I want, like, if I can escape with some early bye weeks and still advance, now I'm going to kick the shit. I'm really going to beat people that backloaded all your bye weeks. You just punted it. You just punted off your team in the later weeks. You know, one would say, oh, you're going to punt off the early. Like, sure. We're doing the same thing in opposite directions. I'm trying to take advantage of the opportunity that you're giving me. If I can sneak through in the early weeks and I'm going to beat you later, that gives me a better chance to win later. All right, we are back on the clock. Josh Palmer. It's been a hot minute since I've drafted Josh Palmer. Going and getting my guy because he's not going to come back to me. I'm trying to maintain, 50+% of Will Shipley. So at this turn, rounds 13 and 14, we took Josh Palmer because I'm very light on wide receivers and Will Shipley. Two, 6, 4, 2. This team will either become 2-7-7-2 or 2-6-8-2. Obviously, I have Bowers and Warren. Good. Mahomes and Stroud. Good. I like the team. Nico, JSN, and Xavier Worthy going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting for me at wide receiver until we start to hit some upside swings here. Thank you for converting me to the religion of Will Shipley early on. Yeah, it's we're hoping that it is like a real religion and not like Scientology or something like that. But it's been good so far. All those last round Will Shipley teams feel. Take that CLV to the bank, baby. How fun would it be to make the final in the eliminator and do a watch party with the other two for week 17? Those people wouldn't want to watch with me. I'm a shit talker. I will be insufferable. In the same room? Huh, brother. I said not like Scientology, Bullock. Shipley feels very safe for like 5 to 8 touches per game. He's going to play. This is my thing of why people are like, oh man, the price is getting a little bit rich. Like, what are you talking about? Zach Charbonnet goes at pick 110. Both of the Giants guys go at pick 100. Like, you have locked in a role. He's going to have usable games, even alongside Saquon Barkley. How many? When do they? I don't know. It's going to happen. He's not going to score 0 fantasy points all season. Even still, who gives a shit? Even if he does, the contingent value is so good. Even if you get one Shipley game, it's worth it at the price. Like, we are bad at pricing backups. My single biggest if you had to ask, if you gave me I think I did this for my truth in Pete's truth serum video last year. My truth serum take is that we are bad at pricing backups, contingent value bets. Chaos rules all in best ball. There's one thing that you think, like, there's only one thing. I don't care if you like Will Shipley. I don't care if you like my stupid takes and Triple H and all this nonsense. My favorite stacks. You hate the Eagles. You hate the Jags. Cool. There's one thing, is that chaos wins in best ball. Lean into it. Whatever you got to do to build teams that benefit the most from the chaos of the season, that's what's going to help you. You may think there's different paths to doing it than me, and you probably should. That's good. But I just can't believe in year like 5 or 6, we haven't like embraced this chaos rules. Chaos is what wins tournaments. Look at this. We're keeping our Diami exposure up here too. This is beautiful. Now, because we have Patrick Mahomes, we go get our boy Jalen Royals. We take Diami Brown and Jalen Royals. Awesome fits on, like, I love taking these guys in general. Both Diami and Jalen Royals. They're my two favorite, frankly, late round wide receivers, but great fits on this team. I obviously have Nico, JSN, and Worthy to do my heavy lifting at wide receiver, but we still need a little bit more firepower, of course, because I only had 3. Took Josh Palmer, who's, chaperone, who's going to do some stuff on the Bills, but Josh Palmer's not going to be, some big breakout. And Diami, frankly, isn't either, but he's like a little bit more exciting version of Josh Palmer on the Jaguars, though, not on the Bills. He's going to help me with some usable weeks because he's going to play. He's going to start for the Jags at wide receiver. We'll see what's up with Travis Hunter's exact role, but Diami's going to be a very real thing. He's been getting hype also already. And then Jalen Royals comes in as speaking of the chaos. He's already seemingly benefiting from the chaos of the offseason with Rice. And if he's good, he's like an upside swing. Like, I need a little more juice. I got some like stability in Palmer and Diami. Now let's add in the home run swing, right? You took a couple walks. You took a walk and you bunted the guy over to second. Now let's swing for the fences, right? That's the kind of combination, the sequencing here. Single, bunt. Let's swing for a home run. Damn, Charles. No Shipley. Let's see. Josh Jacobs or Chase Brown to pair with Jamar Chase. I prefer. Oh, they're very, very close. I can't remember. I think I have Jacobs ranked ahead. So I think I contractually have to say Josh Jacobs. Somebody asked somebody asked a question about Mr. Nick. How much do you play in season DFS? A lot. That's where I came from. So I still do work for Roto-Grinders. I mentioned before, we're going to do some in season like DFS, sports betting, stuff like that. Some shows and written content and all that kind of stuff. We're actually building a little tool. I can't talk about it yet, but some of our combinatorial stuff we're going to do for DFS as well. Shout out Hacker for building our CTO for building all of that stuff. But I still do work for Roto-Grinders. I just did a baseball show there last night, and I'll do content on Roto-Grinders. I do a Sunday morning show every Sunday morning on RG and some other in-season DFS. I play a ton of DFS. So we figured if I'm going to be playing and taking it as serious as I do, let's just go ahead and we can expand a little bit the Spike Week brand into some DFS stuff as well, in-season stuff. This is where I should have planned ahead a little bit better. I have Harvey, right? But let's do Vele. Now what I have to decide is if I want do I feel good enough about that was quick. Nico, JSN, Worthy, Palmer, Diami, Royals. Kind of. Oh yeah, we got to do Brashard here. Actually, I'm gonna do Eli Mitchell because I've like always done Brashard on these teams. Eli Mitchell getting a little bit of hype as well, and honestly, I've really only done Brashard. 25% of my Mahomes teams have Brashard, and I do only have 1% Brashard here on Underdog. I think he's a lot better fit on DraftKings. Maybe drafters, but on the PPR sites, I think is really where Brashard Smith makes the most sense. And I really need to get my Eli Mitchell up. I have Judkins. Kyle asked, where do you have Judkins? 1 second. Rankings. Yeah, whatever quote I just saw. Personally, I'm buying Kyle buying the dip on Judkins. I'm not. I mean, I unfortunately just accidentally took him here. I have him ranked at 147. 147 is where I have Judkins. So that's fluid. Basically, I put him where I don't want myself to get him or subscribers to get him, of course. So talked about this a little bit earlier and last week, but I will say the issue for Judkins is so first of all, I was not that big of a fan of him as a prospect. The Browns are a little bit of a scary situation. They drafted, shouldn't we be willing to take on the risk for his upside? I mean, maybe. No, you're good. Maybe. But Dylan Sampson also has the upside. And the issue for a rookie, so he's a rookie who his team, yes, they took him in the second round. They took another running back in the fourth, and they do have Jerome Ford on the team. Last year, their second round pick, also hilariously from Ohio State, Mike Hall, I forget what the guy's name was, defensive lineman. Almost the same thing happened. He got arrested. He pled no contest or pled guilty or whatever to a similar charge last offseason, and like the same time he got suspended for 5 games. Quinshon Judkins has not signed his contract yet. He's not under contract, and so the Browns are in like total wait and see mode on what's going on with him, and I'm sure negotiating said contract. And so I would rather right now take the swing on his teammates, who are still reasonably priced. Of course, they have risen, but they're still totally reasonably priced. They went from $1 auction players to $2 auction players, right? Was the price change in those guys. And I don't think Judkins has fallen enough, given the fact that he now is going to be sitting out practice. Valuable, every practice rep for a rookie who's trying to earn, like, he still has to earn it, even though he was the second round pick. He has to earn it over Sampson and Ford. I'm kind of waiting to see, if he signs tomorrow, great. I'm kind of waiting it out and buying the dip, because I think it's possible that this rookie season doesn't go very well for Judkins. I would not blame anyone for saying I'm just going to buy all the way down. I don't think we've seen the floor at all on what this price is going to be. So there will probably come a point where I definitely do buy Quinshon Judkins, but we're just not there yet. We're just not there yet for me. Let me run down this team super quickly, and then I can get you guys out of here. If you could, I see all you guys watching. If you could please, it would be amazing to hit that like button. If you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hopefully you're enjoying today's show. We'll be back tomorrow at the exact same time, and Friday at the exact same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm here to draft some best ball teams and talk best ball strategy. But to the second draft here that we did, we picked out of the 111. We took Nico Collins at the 111, Brock Bowers, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Xavier Worthy, RJ Harvey, James Conner, Patrick Mahomes to get my Chiefs stack. B-Rob, as we discussed earlier, Tyler Warren, had not drafted him with a lot of the players on this team, and I'm still in on Tyler Warren relatively. I'm intrigued, though not obsessed with Tyler Warren. The aforementioned Quinshon Judkins, sick auto pick that I had there, while I was mesmerizing over getting CJ Stroud onto this team, who I then took in the 11th round. Tyjae Spears, Josh Palmer, my boy Will Shipley, De'Ami Brown, Jalen Royals, Devon Vele. We talked about kind of the reason for those types of players blending together. Vele, of course, plays against Royals and the Chiefs, and he plays with Harvey and all that. So kind of doing our stacking thing there, right? We stack the Chiefs up. We stack the Broncos side of it up. We got Harvey and Vele. De'Ami Brown plays against Tyler Warren in the Week 17 final. And then, of course, Eli Mitchell to continue our Chiefs bet. That is going to do it for me here today. Again, if you could hit like on the way out, I appreciate you guys. Drop a comment. I did not mention this. Don't leave yet. If you drop a comment on the video, on any of the videos this week, I'm giving away free tickets on Friday. 3 more free tickets to the Drafters main event on the Friday show. At the end of the Friday show, I will give away 3 free tickets. If you drop a comment on one of the videos, you'll be entered to win. I should have mentioned that. Earlier. We're going to keep that rolling. We're going to give away some free tickets over on Drafters every Friday. All you got to do to enter is drop a comment on the video. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We just crushed a couple of drafts. We stacked up our favorite teams and some teams we haven't stacked up enough. Make sure you go check out all the Spike Week tools. There's a link to that in the description. And I will catch you guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? If you turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.